Hi, welcome to the G2 Gallery podcast. I'm Jared, and today we have one of our photographers, Bob Adams. How are you?
I'm fine. Excited about it.
Yes, thank you for coming in. So my first question for you is, I want to talk about where you started off as a photographer. Did you have a camera as a kid, or?
I did. I bought my first camera when I was 14 years old with money I saved from my newspaper delivery.
Oh, okay. Now, photography in the 40s didn't have as much recognition as an art form as it does now.
Correct.
When do you feel like photography began to get recognition as an art form?
Much later, but not as late as I began to get interested in it as an art form.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started, I took pictures of camping, of going on trips in the mountains, always as a record of what happened. The thought of doing something like this, artistic pictures, came to me much later.
Oh, okay. Was there an inspiration that made you realize you could do this as an art form?
It was an inspiration, but it was aid to do it. I worked at Xerox and had to travel often to Europe and to the Far East. One of the people who worked for me, at that time I had several hundred, was a good photographer, John Antonio. And he's a wonderful black and white photographer. And when he found out I was sort of interested, he took an interest in me and began kind of helping me along. And in fact, on some trips, we would go to Europe and make sure we had a weekend in between the beginning and end, and then we would take pictures. He then introduced me to a very good printer here in Los Angeles that began printing my pictures. He too was very valuable to me because he was the nicest man. He's no longer with us, but I would sit with him and we would look at his initial prints and decide on where to make the cuts and where to increase color, and little by little I began getting interested in making pictures that were valuable just for their own, and that then led finally to the major change that affected me, and that is digital photography, Adobe, and a printer that you can put in your own house. And that way I could control everything from beginning to end. And that, because I'm an engineer, that part really attracted me.
What has it been like watching people become more environmentally aware and proactive?
The answer is, it both makes me happy and makes me frustrated. What makes me frustrated is that we have to teach people to do that. That people don't realize that they can keep organizations from digging mines and attractive places. So anything that causes people to see nature in itself and encourage people to go to state parks, national parks, I think will push them to not just pay attention to it, but even through their voting and so forth, to encourage that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming in, and I really appreciate this interview, and I really enjoyed it. This is Jared from the G2 Gallery. We'll have more podcasts coming to you. Thank you. All thoughts and opinions expressed in this interview were that of the interviewee and not of the G2 Gallery.